Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm actually riding solo today. It is Dan Wiseman's turn to have a well-deserved break off the podcast duties after he carried it whilst I was, of course, away in New York. Dan's on a stag do, so mate, if you're listening, I hope you're having a fantastic time. I'm sure the 3 points from today would have certainly helped that for sure. But guys, Aston Villa 2, Norwich City 0. Before we get into all of that, we have a word from today's video sponsor. This video is sponsored by the wonderful guys over at OneFootball. It is the place to get all of the most up-to-date football news, scores, articles, live updates. You couldn't ask for more. Dan, we use this app every single day of our lives, and they've been kind enough to sponsor us here at the Villa Filler again.
Yeah, it powers the podcast, mate. It's my go-to place for live scores, stats, and news from 200 leagues, 12 different languages. It's got the lot, mate.
So, guys, if you check out OneFootball using the link in the top of the description, it'll help us out, it'll help you guys out, and it'll help you just enjoy the game that little bit more. Be like Dan and I, download OneFootball. So, guys, if you haven't checked out OneFootball, make sure you do so using the link in the top of the description. It helps us out more than you guys could ever imagine. I know we go on about it a lot and it's kind of memed, but they really do help support the channel out. And it'd mean the most if you haven't checked out OneFootball to download it using our link in the top of the description. Now, onto the game, because I think, you look on the surface, 2-0 win, fantastic. And it was, let's be real, the points are always king in these scenarios. However, the performance wasn't necessarily the best, but if I'm being honest, I'm going to say it right at the top of the podcast here. I don't necessarily think that matters. There were a lot of intertwining story arcs that led and fed into this game, as we kind of discussed in the preview, the homecoming of Dean Smith and the fact that Norwich City have to win to kind of keep their hopes of staying up alive just for another game, which of course wasn't the case. And then we've got the fabled appearance of Milot Rashica, who was all but signed for Aston Villa and decided not to be involved in a relegation battle, which it's funny how life works, really. He finds himself now in the Championship with Norwich City. But, we're not petty. We don't care about that. It's just funny how things work. And a lot of things that Dan and I mentioned in the preview, namely, when we're talking about selection, of course, Luca Dean, I think, was the big shock, because it looked like he was going to be out for 6 weeks with a broken collarbone. And he's been out for 3, I want to say, and managed to play the full 90. So, that's absolutely massive news. It'd have been great to have seen Chris Henn play, but of course, Luca Dean, what a player. So it's great to have him back. But we actually got Tim Aroga-Bunam starting in the base of that midfield, which I don't necessarily, I know it's something Dan and I spoke about and was sort of wanting to see whether Stevie would sort of make the gamble, give him his debut. And, with no disrespect at all intended towards Norwich City, if there was ever a game for Tim to start in the Premier League, it's this one. And I kind of felt like Villa maybe needed to change systems slightly just to get a few more bodies around Tim, just to help him embed himself in the side a bit better. But he didn't need them. He didn't need that. He anchored the base of that midfield for the best part of, I want to say, 65 minutes, largely doing a really good job. It was really impressive. The one thing that I love about Tim is the fact he doesn't shy away from the ball. And I think it's really important when you are screening that back four, first of all, positional sense. More often than not, Tim found himself in some good positions. There was a few instances sort of on the counter-attack, I think, where he maybe left himself a little bit exposed. And I think you kind of get away with that in under 23s, but when you're playing men's football, not so much. But of course, it's a learning curve. And Tim would have learned a lot from that. But 82% pass accuracy, 26 touches, won 3 of his 5 ground duels and 1 his aerial duel as well. Having a presence in the midfield for me is massive, because I'm sure there are statistics on the average heights of every Premier League side, but I would say Villa are quite small. So having Tim in that midfield that is, today consisted of John McGinn and Jacob Ramsey, that there was a lot of height and steel there that the midfield I couldn't tell you the last time we had just anybody over 6 foot in the midfield. Guys, let me know in the comments, please, because my mind is failing me here. But having that physicality, having that presence in the midfield is something that I think really helped Villa in this game. Obviously, we all kind of knew how Norwich were going to set up this sort of 4-2-3-1. And to their credit, Dean Smith has made Norwich incredibly difficult to sort of break down and defeat. And I know if you look at the statistics, you know, the 21 attempts from Villa, 18 of which from open play, it does kind of lend itself to the fact that Villa dominated this game. And whilst that is true in parts, I think Villa did, you know, they had certainly the better of I want to say the first 20 minutes of both halves, I'd say, is where Villa really showed what they were about. Norwich, you know, to credit them and Dean Smith, didn't make it easy for us. And it's a shame, you know, we have to talk about Dean Smith. We really do, because there was some sort of I don't want to say mixed feelings, because I think I speak on behalf of every Villa fan when I say what Dean Smith has done for this club is truly magical, and he will be remembered fondly. And, you know, certainly for me, has given me some of the best years supporting the club. So it was really nice to see him get a great reception. But, you know, the Project B6 guys who did the banner, again, I don't have a problem with the banner. I think we did speak about this on the last podcast, maybe. But if you guys follow us on Twitter, you would have seen. I've kind of tweeted about the banner. I think it's fine. It's just one of them things. It's been made. May as well use it. But guys, put it up the right way. I think they displayed it upside down, which is a shame. So I know Dean Smith's son saw the banner on Twitter beforehand with the whole sort of back and forth about it. So it's nice to know that the Smiths were appreciated at Villa Park. Just next time, lads, let's get the banner the correct way up. But again, you know, with Dean, it felt like a really emotional moment at full time. You know, one thing maybe not everybody notices if you watch at home, or if you leave straight away at full time or whatever. But Dean always, it's something he always did. He always used to stand on the pitch by the tunnel, and he'd make sure he would shake every single person's hand before they got off the pitch, which is generally just quite a classy thing to do in any case. So, you know, well done, Dean, for that. But he did that today, and it felt that bit more. You know, it hits you in the feels, doesn't it? I think, you know, seeing all his former staff, and then obviously his former players going over to him and sort of embracing him. I know he released a statement at the time, and he's kind of maintained in the press since that, you know, I've made my peace. But it's nice that there was a bookend on the chapter, really. You know, I'm sure Dean would have loved to have won and taken 3 points and prolonged Norwich's what seems like inevitable relegation. But it was a really emotional and powerful moment at full time, and the way the fans were chanting Dino, again, it was just class. And you know, I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me feel a little bit emotional, because he means a lot to me, he means a lot to the club. So yeah, shout out to everybody for giving Dean the reception that he deserved. But back onto the game, I think it was one of them. There were some things that were forced on Villa in this game. Obviously, the injury to Leon Bailey, getting Danny Ings on, that was a change that had an instant impact, because Danny Ings, he plays this wonderful ball that we've seen him supply Leon with as well in there for Leon's Everton goal. Plays this wonderful long ball that Ollie managed to get onto the end to, scores a fantastic goal. I think it does take a slight deflection. I haven't watched it back, so guys, let me know in the comments below. But I will be watching Match of the Day tonight because we won. It was a fantastic hit, and that sort of sub at the time, as I say, Villa needed to change something, and it's not very often teams, especially Villa, make subs. I know this was enforced, so it's slightly different, but it gave Norwich something a little bit different to think about. And I think ultimately it's going to give Steven Gerrard something different to think about as well. And he will be pondering the sort of the selection dilemma that he has been left with, because he's had a few positive results playing both Ings and Watkins up front, with Coutinho at the peak of the diamond. And don't personally, I don't see it as a long-term solution to the problems that we have. I think it's clear as day Ings and Watkins can play together. We've built a bridge and we've got over that, both supplying each other, not necessarily goals, but in terms of creating chances today as well. Ollie played a wonderful little chip ball over to Danny in front of the Holte end, which was a chance that Danny probably should have taken first time. He didn't, and his goal in the second half, you could really see it was like a weight off the shoulders, because I think he knew he had to score in this game. It's Norwich. Again, no disrespect to Norwich, but Danny Ings is one of the Premier League's finest strikers, in my opinion. And he will hold himself to higher standards than what he has been producing in recent weeks. And again, it all comes with consistency in game time, and kind of managing to find a rhythm. So hopefully him finding a goal, that will be a good thing for him. But again, I think I've mentioned this on previous podcasts. I want to see Philippe Coutinho play centrally. I think he has much more of an influence on the game. And I just feel like he's wasted on the left. I think there is a way that we can get Emi Buendia, Leon Bailey and Coutinho all in this side. Of course, I'm no expert. I'm no Steven Gerrard, and I certainly don't have my UEFA badges. But there has to be a way to get all of these guys in, right? I don't understand that. Emi comes on and he's fantastic. He's tenacious. It seemed like every sort of pass that Coutinho was trying, I think in the second half he had a bit of a difficult time. Coutinho, Buendia, was finding himself in these positions that I think Phil was just struggling a little bit. And I think it's fine to say that Coutinho didn't have the best of games. I don't think it's a controversial opinion. If it is, you guys let me know, of course. We're all about debate and discussion here at the Villa Filler. I'd love to know your thoughts, but when like Philippe Coutinho is wonderful. I have to caveat everything I'm saying with this is a truly world-class player that we have, but we can't afford to have passengers. And I'm not insinuating that he has been for a long time, but I think there have been a few games where we just haven't been able to get him in a game. And I think that's just due to the kind of player that he is. He isn't the kind of player who's going to be running back into the defensive third to make tackles, win the ball, progress the ball up the pitch that way. He isn't aggressive in his press like our little Emi is. And I do think Emi offers a lot more off the ball than Phil does. I hope this isn't a controversial opinion. Please don't cancel me in the comments, guys. I think we haven't. There's clearly levels to Coutinho's game, and that we're going to. It seems like a dead set that we're going to sign him, and if we are, then we really do have to figure out what we're going to do, because we need to get all these players in the side. And we'll talk about Leon Bailey. I thought I mentioned it later on because I know people are going to disagree with me, because people did, and that is fine. Again, it's all about the debate and the discussion. I just felt really uncomfortable with the boos. I'm not one to boo our own players, especially when I think the reality of the situation. I reckon there was part of Leon that didn't want to run and make the challenge, but I think the reason behind that is because he was quite clearly taken out. It was a fair challenge, but it was sort of a nasty bit of contact with him and Williams. And when he was down on the floor, I didn't expect him to get up and continue. And there was a spring in Leon's step at the start of the game, and he was finding himself in these good positions. And of course, he has the wonderful effort where he forced a save from Tim Krul onto the crossbar. But after that sort of contact with Williams, that spring wasn't in his step, and he wasn't tracking back. And of course, it all kind of happens after that breakaway, and it just doesn't sit right with me. I'm not making excuses. I do genuinely think the injury hampered him, but I will also concede, I think, that there was part of him that was like, no, I'm not going to do it. But again, I think that comes down to the fact, I think he's scared of getting injured again, which is understandable when he spent as much time out as he has since he's joined the Villa. So I can see both sides to it, but I personally, I can't get behind booing our own players. Let me know in the comments, but what you guys think. But I can't lie, guys. I felt a little bit embarrassed by that. I think we are better than that. But on the whole, it's really good to get the win. Callum Chambers stepping in as well. We've got to give Chambers a shout out because I think we've been, on the podcast, Dan and I have kind of been saying, look, I think, we should maybe give Chambers a running because, with the last game Villa won, Chambers played in. Of course, we lost the West Ham game afterwards and he played in that. But I don't feel like Chambers did much wrong to kind of lose his spot. And I think it was certainly his to lose. And I don't think he did anything wrong, to be honest. So it's nice to see that Gerrard isn't afraid of changing things up a little bit. And because I think for the longest time, Ezri Konsa has been invincible and he's been fantastic. But when there's been a sort of a downwards trend in form, I think it's fair to give Callum a chance. And I thought he did relatively well. Not a fantastic game, I don't think, by Jacob's standards offensively. There was the instance in the second half. He just couldn't find Ings in the box. I don't know if he was trying to cut it back for a late runner, but when was the last time we've ever had a late runner into the box? And there was a nice little sort of dribble he did and wasn't quite able to get a shot off. But I think, one thing that does impress me about JJ's game, he's a two-way midfielder. He can play both ways. Won 4 of his 7 ground duels, won his aerial duel, touched the ball 64 times, 85% pass accuracy, made a clearance, 2 interceptions, 2 tackles. I'm impressed, we're seeing it with every game. He's maturing, and I think, having JJ contribute not only offensively but defensively, I think that's fantastic. And I think if there's something I could ask for JJ is maybe to improve the passing just a little bit, but again, that's going to come with time. We know JJ's a dribbler, and not too many complaints from me. On another day, Villa do win this game about 3 or 4-0. I think we created plenty of chances. Ings hits the post with a header. Obviously, Leon's shot was worthy of a goal. It was a fantastic save by Tim Krul. Received a standing ovation from the whole after we'd all seen the replay on the screen as well. But overall, it was just important that Villa won this game. I think the point against Leicester was really important to stop the rot. Now we've got some points on the board because there's been a lot of sort of scaremongering about, are we going to get dragged into this relegation fight? And I've maintained for a while, Villa are fine. And all it would take is to just take points off Burnley and we're fine. But obviously these 3 points against Norwich have kind of set us really well. And, if you look at the table, Villa I think Newcastle have 2 games in hand. And there's been a lot of talk about Newcastle and how well they've done, and rightfully so. Eddie Howe has done a brilliant job. And they've won a crazy amount of games in such a short period of time. I think they were like 10 unbeaten in home since January, which is mental when you think about it as well. Obviously up until today, losing to Liverpool. But they've got 2 games on us. If Villa win their next 2 games, we are a point ahead of them and we're sat in 9th. So, I think it's time we chill out a little bit. Let's see the season out. I think it's completely fair to say, and I am knocking on wood just in case, guys, but Villa aren't going down. So, for these games, obviously, I think, again, I want us to take points from Burnley just to really cement our status in the division. But I think with them games coming up, maybe we see more Tim, maybe we see a Ben Crescent, a Carney as well. I guess that all kind of depends on what the contract situation is realistically. Again, we've spoke about that to length on the channel, so I'd be flogging a dead bird here if I was to talk about my thoughts on the Carney situation. But it doesn't look like he's going to get a look in unless he signs the deal. So hopefully something can get sorted, because it'd be nice to see him play towards the end of the season. And players like Leon, as long as the injury's not bad, Leon's going to play every game until the end of the season, providing he's fit, because he needs a run in the team. And I think, we all need to give him a bit of time, because, Villa, let's be honest, Villa fans were the same at the start with Buendia. I think when Buendia came, there was, I think, if I'm being fair, it was a sort of a vocal minority, but there were quite a few players that were saying, Buendia, what? Obviously, he's embedded and proven his worth, and I think we do just need to have a little bit of patience. I'm sure all these players are going to come good, and let's just try and end the season on a high. I think I've rambled for long enough, and my laptop is probably about to die at some point, so I will try and round out this podcast here. Again, great to get the 3 points. Anybody who's made it this far, let us know by commenting your thoughts on this game in the comment section. Your support truly means the most. Obviously, when Villa are bad, people don't really want to listen to the podcasts, and that's fine. We're certainly not the most popular Villa podcast, but all of you guys who listen, you truly mean the world to us. Shout out to Aaron as well, my PT. It's great to see you at the game, mate. And yeah, guys, if you enjoyed it, comment your thoughts below and subscribe for more content. Up the Villa.